looks like the Styx Corporation have actually got a orbital weapons platform of some kind up. At least that's what we suspect. We're gonna have to take it down, and quick, before it can launch anything. Right, this episode we're going to make a Corvette class ship of some kind that will fly around and blow up that weapons platform. But instead of making it launch like a rocket, which, you know, you've probably seen before, why don't we try and make it launch like a plane? So it has wings, and then it gets rid of the wings. So for this, I want to use the B9 aerospace pack because it looks freaking awesome. All the parts are beautiful, and, you know, the cockpits are probably the best bit, and that cockpit there is looking like a badass. Just playing around with some of the bits here. These nuclear engines, actually, are worse than the standard ones, I think. They're the Fat Man series, but they look cool, and they're white, and they sort of match the colour schemes. So for this, I'm going for aesthetics more than I'm really going for feasibility of design here. Now, the problem is with the B9 pack, they don't really go very well with any other parts other than the other B9 ones. You can see on the back here I'm having trouble finding something that just, you know, makes that bit look good. And there are a couple of other pieces that I have trouble with in this, and I think it's really designed to be used for itself, and no one's really thought in depth about how it works with any other pieces, which is a shame, because you do need to use other parts to go with it. You can't just use it as a standalone. And that part there is one of the few parts that actually integrates. That's a 375. It's the large one, but ultimately I think it's just a bit too large for it. That's a 2 meter one. That's a 2 meter one. And just play around with that. I think 4 nuclear rockets is going to be enough here. We'll see. Depends how big this thing ends up being in the end. It has got 2 of the large sort of body segments in the middle which carry fuel. Now the problem is currently as well that the B9 aerospace pack, all the the fuselages and stuff are under structural rather than under the fuel tanks and stuff in propulsion. Which is weird because you kind of expect them to be there with the rest of the fuel tanks, and because they've got so many similar ones, like there's an empty one, a jet fuel one, a LOX and fuel one, so an oxidizer and fuel one, and then there's also like monopropellants and empty ones and stuff. Like separating them out between the propulsion and the structural would be really helpful, but at the moment they're all chucked into one, so you keep bouncing over trying to figure out which one is which, which is kind of annoying. Here we go. You can see I've put a little collar on there. This is because I want to kind of make the Corvette a safe military grade ship, so it's basically an ejection system. So put some parachutes on, and if it gets damaged and we have to abort, we can just eject, take the entire front end off, and parachute safely down. And of course for that we've got a couple of, there we go, you see on the side, solid boosters, so we can just point our way retrograde, fire them off, and we should land, although we don't really have much a way of manoeuvring where we land. That's why I've left the monopropellant up front, so hopefully we'll be able to use that to manoeuvre a little bit. Now these battery packs, I can't remember where they come from. I think they come from the large ion engine pack. But the problem is they're so underpowered because they weigh like a ton each, and they've got a comparable battery capacity to the large battery rings, which weigh I think 0.04 or something stupid like that. It's not, maybe not that, but they're so underpowered at the moment because they weigh so much, and yet don't carry that much in way of charge. I'm just trying to figure out how to do the laddering here, because I try this for a moment and you see it looks a bit crap. And also I try for symmetry, and then I decide, yeah, balls to it, it doesn't need symmetry, this is going to look awesome, so there you go. See, I've thrown away those battery packs on the side because they're pretty shit, let's be honest. On the back I've gone for, in that space, instead of putting a spare engine on, I've actually got a docking port node there. so we can drag something behind us. So that we can also use this Corvette as a tow truck, tow things around, or we could add extra modules on. So we could put an ion drive in it, and then have a supplementary ion power, or we could put a fuel tank. We could put another engine. We could even put I don't know, another weapons platform of some kind, or even just tow around a satellite or a space station. So basically, this is going to be our workhorse vehicle, since it's the first proper militarized space vehicle that the Elysian Empire is actually going to use. So we're going to try and make it fit all bills. Just place these on. Now, you can see we've got the Gatling cannons on the front, 2 mediums and 4 lights. The mediums fire slower than lights, but do a lot more damage. In theory, at least. So that way we've got a good rate of fire, but also combining it with the 2 of the heavier weapons. This is done by a lot of aircraft in like World War II, that they'd have machine guns and they'd also have a cannon. The later variations of the Spitfire and so on had a cannon in addition to it. The normal machine gun and the German Fokker did as well. 20, I can't remember. Anyway. Yeah, but as the war went on, progressively better iterations of the aircraft came out with cannons for most aircraft. And here we go. This looks pretty damn awesome. Weird. It looks a bit like the Phalanx missile defense systems on American warships, I think. Basically, it's got a camera so we can look down the barrel. A nice heavy railgun. Spotlight. Another battery, mainly because we need something to mount the camera on, and to top it off I just put the Kethane sensor on there because, you know, then we can look for the Kethane as well. And wings! Let's just see, we can attach these to the decoupler, and they look like they're attached to the hull, so yeah, they don't really, but just sort of check these and like take it out and just check that they come off properly, because there doesn't seem to be a appreciable gap between them and the hull. Might have to take that for a spin. Here we go. Do they come off? They come off quite beautifully, if I say so myself. So, back to the drawing board. And I'm feeling that in addition to the normal jet engines, we can get a couple of ramjets, which give you a lot higher thrust, but they only work at, I think, they have a minimum speed of like just under 100, I think it's 90 meters per second, but they only really give you appreciable thrust over 1.2 kilometers per second. So they're for that bit where you need to go really fast in atmosphere, or you really are trying to get into orbital velocities. And, you know, that's what we're using them for. So if we put turbojets like that, and then put a ramjet on either side, now we've just got to put the intakes on. Now that bit at the front that sort of comes out behind the cockpit, that actually counts as an intake, and if we can hook that up, then we can get some extra intake out from that. I can't remember how much it gives, but you know, every little helps. Just playing along with flaps here. Everyone needs flaps. Not flaps. Ailerons. I get told off for calling them flaps. Flaps that slow you down for landing and stuff. Not flaps. No. Flaps alter the how the wing, the air flows over the wing. The ailerons control how the air comes off the wing. Vaguely, I think. I don't know. I'm not an aerodynamic engineer or aeronautical engineer. That's the one. You can tell it's late. I'm sorry this video's going out late. I've been quite busy last week, and then I was busy all weekend. And hopefully you can forgive me. To try and make up for it, I've made the video longer. Partly because I was like, oh, I need to make up a longer video, and to make up for it, and partly because this crashed many times while I was recording this video. Many times. I've lost a lot of the footage because every time it crashes, Fraps gets crazy, and then I end up having too much for my hard drive, and in the end most of it was kind of garbage anyway, and me just trying to load things back up and so on. So I've kept most of it and then chopped out the centre of it. Now you see here I'm going with, it's not air hogging so much, but I'm hedging my bets in how many I need here. I mean, I've got some, what they call shock cone intakes, which work at high speeds only. And then I've moved the turbojets all on the back, and then I've put some 2 ramjets on the front, and then hooked them up together. Now, the ramjets probably will damage the normal engines behind them, but they should still work. I don't think they're going to damage them to the point that, you know, they can't be used anymore. I'm just playing around with the layout here, trying to get the centre of lift behind the centre of mass, because centre of lift behind the centre of mass, it's a little bit difficult to control. Centre of lift in front of the centre of mass, it goes into the ground. There's no question about difficult to control, it's just, it flips upside down and you die. Pretty much. I'm sure there are exceptions, but as a rule of thumb, never have the centre of lift in front. It's me just playing around with the controls to see which way the cannon goes. And yep, if anyone can spot the obvious, glaringly obvious flaw, I hope you've seen it. I didn't. I was very, very stupid and then got incredibly annoyed when I figured out what I'd done. And I fire the cannon and realise that I have screwed up. I had 1, 2, 3, 4 bound to the different cannon turning arcs, and then I had bound a load of action keys over the top. So I had to undo all of them. Right, and let's try and fly it now. It should be ready to test, if, you know, I've bound the action keys right this time. Now you can see that the gun's bowing a bit there and the ammo's actually clipping through it. That's because I've raised the mass of the ammo, because a lot of time with these guns in the pirated weapons pack, the projectiles were going straight through a target without damaging them, and I found that if you increase the mass, they tend to actually hit and do damage rather than going straight through. The problem is, they have a lot more recoil, they do that bit where they sort of sag through, and they also, in atmosphere, fire like a mortar and don't really go very straight. Like that. They don't really go very far. But then again, we're not using this in atmosphere. But I think it makes a nice addition to the Gatling cannons, having a nice big-ass cannon on the back. I don't know, what would it be, like a 105mm? Something like that. Pretty big cannon. I'm trying to hit Space Hang at the moment to see if I actually manage to get there, but no, just short. Ooh, and no, shot again. I don't think I'm getting anywhere near. Nope. Nope, not at all. Okay. Solar panels out. Check the action group works. And I've got the wrong type of solar panel, haven't I? I wish they'd say in the description which way they come out, because they just say, oh, this is an alternate configuration. Yes. Alternate how? Which one is which? I don't remember which one's A and B. Obviously now I know that the B is the one that goes out in a line, and A is the one that goes into a big, almost, the more square one. The 3x2 as opposed to the, I think, 6x1. Yeah, B is the one I want, so change them over. Hook up the air intakes. And should almost be ready to give this baby another go. Right, so tell MacLeod to kill the rotation. Kill all of our flight screens. Let's get this party started. There we go. Solar panels looking sweet there. Let's see if we can retract. Come on, retract. For some reason the radios don't seem to want to retract. Despite the fact that action group said toggle. They don't seem to... They say fixed now, so they won't come in. Strange. Oh, well, let's just restart so we don't tear them off in flight. And let's give it a go. Let's hope the wings have got enough lift, because the centre does weigh a lot, like 80 tons or so. Maybe more, I can't remember. Probably more. Okay, everyone on. Now, even though the ramjets won't provide thrust below 90 meters per second, we can turn them on anyway, and then as soon as we get to 90 meters per second, they'll stop providing thrust, but it'll be like 5 kilonewtons. As opposed to, you know, the 100 and something like that these will do. Now, of course, I've forgotten the tail fin, so instead of putting a tail fin on and having to detach that as well, I'm just going to chuck them on the wings, and I don't know what you call them then. Vertical stabilizers of some kind. Anyway, let's put our wing tail fins on. Wing fins? Wing fins. Let's put our wing fins on. Hopefully that'll work. Possibly not enough struts. Oh, let's give it a go. Put the lights on. Looking pretty badass. Put the engines on. Now you see what I did with the back there in the end. I just chucked a big ass battery on the back. Used the Rockomax thing that makes it go smaller, I can't remember what it's called. And then put the shielded docking port on the back. It doesn't look the most elegant, but yeah. I suppose there's always a fine line in Kerbal Space Program. Now the Styx Corporation put this left. That's not lifting. That's sort of shimmying around. Okay, so doing more lift or more thrust? Or more struts? I don't know. Try more thrust. We weren't going that fast when we got to the end of the runway, so we'll start. We'll put some solid fuel boosters on, because, you know, that's exactly what you want on your spaceplane thing. It's a spaceplane that then becomes a spacecraft rather than a plane. It loses the wings. I don't know if anything like this even exists, something that decides to detach its wings halfway through flight. Probably not, because not many things go from being a plane to being a spacecraft and stay that way. And by not many, I mean none. If anyone does know anything even remotely like that, cool, put it in the comments, but that's a lot better. It's a lot more speed. Speed's climbing. It's climbing. Not sure if it's fast enough. Oh, yes, we're taking off. We're airborne. No, we're going sideways. Down, forwards. Oh, we're going forward. No, now we're going backwards. Upwards, downwards. Downwards. Upwards. Upwards. Yes, hold upwards. Good. No. That'll do. Just hold that. And turn. And no, don't shake. You know what happened last time. Now we've lost the engines. We're getting max speed. We've lost a wing. Let's eject the other one. Let's see if we can eject our pilot. No, we can't eject quick enough. Okay. That didn't work. And we're back, and I've given up and chucked it into the VAB. I'm sorry, I let you all down. But frankly, it just started crashing every And the same thing would happen over again, would just shake itself apart. So there we go. Big rockets, big solid fuel boosters, and we're going to be going straight into a polar orbit because that's where the spy satellite weapons platform thing is. Of course, we could be 90 degrees on, but we're not. We're about 30 degrees off at the moment, so it's probably easiest just to go straight for the polar orbit and then adjust from there. I can see we've been very careful in using surface because I don't trust MechJeb to fly this. MechJeb has a habit of anything big and heavy, it will just flip over as soon as it starts to go into the gravity turn. So I'm being very careful here. And enable lighting. Beautiful blue lighting. I can't remember where I got this. One of the mods, there's a light mod, I can't remember what the name is for the life of me, but it's pretty awesome. It's a little bit confusing in that you have to have them on the same stage, and like, the action groups didn't work for me, and then you've got like the O and the P key toggle it somehow. It would just be much simpler if it was just action group, but it does look pretty damn awesome, so I'm willing to forgive. You can see we aren't accelerating very fast here. And we have got the biggest engines possible. These are like the 375 meter most powerful engines, and you know there's like 4 nozzles in each of them. And then we've got 4 of the biggest solid fuel boosters you can get, with 4 of the biggest fuel tanks you can get. And even then we've got like a thruster rate of like 1.18 or something on the launch pad. Maybe a bit higher. But yeah, we're crawling into space. And at the same time as crawling, we're going to have to very, very carefully inch our angle over so we don't end up just collapsing. This is going slowly. Now, the Styx Corporation's treaty with, you know, the other great nations of Kerbin actually forbids orbital weaponry. I mean, you know, it hasn't stopped us from researching it in case we need it, but we have refrained from doing anything like putting weapons in orbit so far. This will be our first piece of military hardware in response to their weapons platform. Now, while space weaponry is banned in real world, you know, the SALT treaties, and there's also a treaty before that, I can't remember the name of it, that hasn't fully stopped everyone from putting any weapons whatsoever. I think what it banned was weapons of mass destruction. The Russians actually put a, I think it's a 23mm cannon on one of their space stations they had in orbit in the 70s. Or at least they're rumoured to have done. And there was a failed satellite launch in the late 80s, I think, when that satellite was rumoured that it could have some sort of weaponry or could be mounted with it. And of course, Russian cosmonauts used to carry pistols. I don't know if they still do. They definitely used to use a specific pistol that had like 3 barrels or something. And no, it wasn't so that they could go around, you know, shooting satellites out the window. It was so that if they landed in Siberia and they got attacked by wild animals, they could shoot the wild animals, make loud noise to get attention. That sort of thing, you know, general survival stuff. And I don't know if the Americans had something similar or not. I've never heard of it. But I wouldn't be incredibly surprised. And here we go, full-on gravity burn. Just pulling out a little bit. The problem is, we've had to be so careful about angling over that if we're not careful, we're going to end up with not enough lateral velocity when we get to the top of our apoapse. The top of our apoapse. As if there's a bottom of our apoapse that's any different to the top. The apoapse is the top of your orbit. Ugh. Well, not the highest point of altitude above the body you are orbiting. And we are almost out of atmosphere. Bam. It does look pretty beautiful now we're in space, and you've got the blue lights on the rear, and the headlights popping out the front. Even though it didn't launch with wings as I had wished, and I'm very sad that that's not the case, I'm still quite happy with the aesthetic looks of it right now. Like, the aesthetics of it are beautiful. Even if it has got some sort of weird collar. Now, I have made one change while I was in the VAB. I moved the collar from being behind the monopropellant to in front of it, mainly because the monopropellant had all the weapons attached to it, and that was quite heavy. And all the extra weight was going to be difficult for the parachutes to hold up. So instead, I've just got the solid fuel boosters that are used for re-entry, the parachutes, and the cockpit, and not much else. I think even the solar panels are behind, so the power is just the power generated by the cockpit itself. But that should be enough. We don't have any manoeuvring at all now, so we're going to have to hope. I mean, if we're in a bizarre orbit and we need to re-enter using the solid fuel boosters, we can just wait until we need to. We don't need to use the monopropellant. It's only if we're on a collision course with the atmosphere that we're going to have any trouble. And even then, we should maybe be okay, because I've put the biggest, most powerful separation boosters you can get, which are from one of the mods. I can't remember which one. This one I've had for ages. Probably KW. Here we go. You can see that now getting low on fuel, burning full, and it is looking quite pretty. Now, I'm normally really crap at doing the aesthetic stuff, but you know, I'm quite pleased with this. It does look like a stealthy Corvette destroyer thing, but then again, that's mainly because the B9 cockpit looks freaking awesome. Pain to design with if you want to use any stock parts as well, but freaking awesome nonetheless. It reminds me somewhat of a pod racer now I'm looking at it. With those little flaps in the centre flipping around and doing stuff. Not flaps. Control surfaces. I'm gonna get shouted at again if I say that and people go crazy in the comments. I'll be like, no, I'm sorry! But yeah, here we go. We're detaching our boosters. We're gonna collide slowly with them. Wow, the acceleration of our nuclear rockets isn't very good, is it? But yeah, there we go. Bit of RCS to keep us on course. And we are looking shiny. Now, of course, while space hasn't been militarized as such, there are a lot of anti-space weapons. I think the Americans, the Chinese, the Russians all have anti-satellite weapons of some degree. The Americans actually have the ASM something or other ASAT, anti-satellite missile. I can't remember which iteration it's in now. Basically, that would be launched from, I think it's an F-16 or probably an F-22 as well, which goes into something like an 80-degree angle from the horizon, and then launches that when it gets to sort of max altitude and max speed at some point, and then just sort of pulls away, and that flies up and hits a low-flying satellite. In theory. Now the problem is when they test these, they have to test them to, you know, check they work. But if they don't test them, well, if they do test them, sorry, then they're destroying old satellites and so on, and creating more space debris. And we have a massive problem with space debris at the moment. We're getting very cluttered load of orbits. And I'm trying to... anyone who's had a Kerbal Space Program game going for a while knows that feeling where you've just got debris everywhere. I'm trying to be careful at the moment. That's why the boosters that we just let go will actually be falling back to Kerbin. I'm trying to keep everything from either going back into the gravity well or getting far enough out that it's going out of Kerbin so at least not in low Kerbin orbit, because low Kerbin orbit is a mess. The end of the runway is a mess at the moment for me. This has crashed so many times to come to the end of the runway that the end of my runway is just like a small junkyard that's been parked strategically on the end of the runway. And then a landfill has been put on top of that. Oh, this does look very beautiful. I do say that myself. I'm not sure about the gun on the back, but then again, you know, I didn't want to just put forward-facing Gatling cannons. I actually wanted to spice things up. And I kind of wanted a gun on a swivel mount, reminiscent of sort of old World War II battleships and, well, modern day battleships. And they do actually get a lot of use, mainly against small pirate ships and so on, which you know, tend to be sort of little dinghies and motorboats. Now, I'm going to speed up a lot through these burns, because this actually takes a very, very long time, because I tell MacLeod to do the rendezvous, because I want to see how well MacLeod can rendezvous, and I've got such a low delta, I've got a high delta V, I've got such a low specific impulse. No, I've got a high specific impulse, I've got a low thrust to weight ratio, yes, that's the one. I've got a low thrust to weight ratio that this takes so long. These engines burn for a long time. And even when putting it onto 3 or 4 times speed, I didn't put it on 4 times because it's just a bit wary. The B9 sections don't have a very good, what's it called, stick weld between each other. They have a tendency to flex. And I was finding that when I was trying to fly as a plane, you can see the sections sort of bending like an interlocking bicycle chain. Right, here we are. Just slowing down. We should come in about 200 meters away from it. Right. There's a signal going from the ground to the enemy satellite. We were right, it's an orbital weapons platform. And it's launching. I think we're too late. Oh no. Damn you, MacLeod, why can't you rendezvous better? Okay. Let's kill it before it can launch the second of its payload. Alright. Pointing at the target. Right, I think we're going to open up the cannon first. Try and get a cannon round in there. It's difficult to hit like this. I think, central. Just a little bit right, a little bit right, a little bit, come on. Fire! Yes! I think I might have still gone left of it. Nearly. Is it damaged? No, that debris is our cannon round, I think. Okay. So we missed. Right, let's not screw on the cannon anymore. We can save that. We've got limited ammo in that. The Gatling cannons, we seem to have infinite ammo. The, ooh, yes, yes, yes! Yes! We clipped it early on and sent it spinning. Let's make sure we take these last bits out. That looks like the second missile there. Yes! Must admit, now that the external boosters are off, this thing handles beautifully. Well, for a Corvette. See that? It can chase it and shoot it, and I'm very pleased with the performance of this. Very pleased. Awesome. Well, I'm sorry this episode was late, but there we go. This Empire's taken its first steps to its militarization of space in defense of the Empire. we're getting reports that enemy missile silos have started launching ICBMs. We're launching in retaliation.